So today in Drone Drama, we have MultiGP changing the time limit for qualifications for the regional series from 2 minutes to 1.5 minutes. Oh my gosh, the internet exploded. Now, let's look at 1.5 minute qualification time. We all know that means 1.5 minutes to get your laps in, and then you get the extra time to finish your last lap. So that 1.5 minutes is anywhere from 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes of flight time, when the 2 minute qualification puts you at 2 to 2:30 in flight time. So we have a bunch of people, they have a bunch of setups from last year, and they're like, you know what, we're blowing up our batteries. We don't want to buy anything like 6S. How can we fix this? And MultiGP will make the flight time shorter. Why that's bad? Well, number one, if you shorten the flight time, you speed up the race. The only thing limited in this race was the actual flight time. That's what limits the speed of the race. That's why 6S is kind of viable, because if you have a long race, like a 2 minute race, watts is watts. You only have so many watts to get around the track. It's what you carry with you. 4S, 6S, whatever, minus some efficiency difference. There's only so many watts to go around. So you've gone from a 2 minute standard to a 1.5 minute standard. Your race speeds up. That ups your amp draw, and your batteries explode. Well, there's 3 things that kill a battery: overcharging them, high amps, and discharging them too low. Now, in the old format, we were overcharging them, and we were discharging them too low. Now, arguably, if we go to the new format, what's going to happen? One, I'm not keeping my old setup because it was set up to go 2 to 2.5 minutes. I'm now building a setup that goes from 1.5 to 2 minutes. What does that mean? It's very simple. Either bigger motors or more kV. Higher amp draw things. So now I've taken my battery and I've increased the amp draw on it. So now I still have the same problem. I'm still going to have to overcharge it because I'm pulling more amps, and I'm still going to fly all the MAH out of it to finish the race. Because if there's anything left over at the end of the race, I didn't build the quad right. It wasn't right. So if you're using last year's setup for this year and you're one of the top competitive guys, either last year's setup was wrong or this year's setup was wrong. But either way, you're building new quads, you're buying new batteries, you're buying new hardware. You should have voted for 6S. I digress. So how do we fix this mess? And I'm going to tell you a story. One, the rules are the rules. It doesn't matter what the rules are. As they are now, if there are no other rules besides flight time, you're always going to kill your battery. Because there's always that one a-hole who's going to run his battery in the ground. He's going to go faster, and he's going to get the best times. So there's no safeguards in place that say that I'm going to show up with anything short of something that is going to push the rules to the limit. And if we look at like setups from my past, from last year, I had this quad that fly 2.5 to 3 minutes beast. It was actually maybe a little bit too efficient, but it got the job done in regional finals. That was the Luminaire quad with the 2350 motors. That thing, I think I flew it once for 306 or something like that, almost wide on a 1500, and it did it. It did it okay. And then we changed that up to some of the competitives. I know like a 2306, 2400 kV was one of the setups that I tested. It would do it, but it would explode the battery. So these two setups, the first setup, the efficient setup, didn't kill the battery from amps. And it didn't necessarily need the battery to be overcharged. The one thing that you can never get away from is discharging the battery fully. I say never, but I think there could be rules in place that stop that. Is discharging the battery fully. If you fully discharge it, you're doing a lot of good damage to it. But if you can have a setup that can finish the race fast in the designated flight time, well, it's a win-win situation. So then we have the big setups. Now I guess now we've lowered the flight time to 1.5 minutes. So I can run something like my race flight 2308, 2900 kVs. And I put a 1500 on there and I overcharge it and it explodes. Like, the rules don't matter no matter what. Shorter flight time is worse on everything. That like you just made me buy double the batteries I did last year because I'm going to kill more flat out. And we're going to give some concessions to track design. I'm just saying if tracks were where they're like last year, quads are going to explode, batteries are going to explode, everything's going to explode. But racing wise, what makes for good racing? Well, I think spec racing is the best racing. Long races, 2.5, 3 minute races, slow it down to get closer races. If you have a race that's fast and you have your fast guy and your slowest guy, and they're capable of flying the quads at much different speeds. And I'm building a faster quad for this year because I have to not fly as long. All I gotta do is fly for 1.5 to 2 minutes now. So I'm definitely gonna build a faster quad. And if I can pilot it faster, that separates me from the slower guy, the new guy that came in. He's gonna be whatever slower per lap, 5 seconds slower per lap, 10 seconds slower per lap, and the gap just got bigger. Now, if you lengthen that out, if you go longer racing to like a 3-minute race format where, well, battery is going to be a huge limit, but I flat out can't pull the amps. I got to slow down and get a more reasonable lap time. Now I'm pulling a 20-second lap, and the slow guy's pulling a 25-second lap, a 22-second lap. We're a lot more in tune with each other. Well, you get a lot better racing. You got a lot better chance. You know, if I screw up as a pro guy, and the little guy's right there, all of a sudden he can pass me. He has a chance. So this 130 less qualifying, I'm not sure what it's trying to solve because it's not fixing the batteries, it's not saving me from buying new hardware, and it's not making anything more competitive for the new guys that we're trying to get into the sport. So in thinking on how to fix this, I know there's been some ideas going around. One of them, what I think I would like to see is regulations that put the quad into a state that you can't destroy it. We need a 3-minute quad racing for 2 minutes. Yeah, that's right. Like this quad, so if I race it all out for 3 minutes, then the battery is dead. But if I race it for 2 minutes, I still have charge left in the battery. And when you're above a minute, you're pulling a lot less amps. I think a minute's like 100 amps or something like that of flight time. It's pretty ridiculous. And then 2 minutes would be 50 amp average, something like that. Whatever it is, the more flight time you have, the less chance you have of killing something. So longer racing, slower racing, is all better. So how do you do that? I think RPM limits. And RPM limits are great because you can say you're limited to 30,000 RPM. I don't care if you do it with 100 cells or 1 cell. It doesn't matter. You're limited to 30,000 RPM. What this number is, which is probably only like a 2300 kV motor or something like that. But so by limiting the RPM, you limit the amps. So I can now only pull 2300, 70 amps with big nasty props on it. I guess the race flights will pull up to 100 on there, 2300 kV. So on top of that, maybe limit the battery size, something like that, or force a maximum size. You got to run an 1800 battery or a 1500 or bigger, but a big battery, low RPM limit. So an RPM limit and maybe a battery limit will do that. I think limiting the RPMs will do it, minus that you're going to put a smaller battery on it because you're not pulling so much power. So it seems like those two go together. If you're going to limit the RPM, also limit the minimum battery size to a 1500 or something like that. And then you can throw out a 2-minute race, a 1.5 minute race on a quad that's capable of flying for 3 minutes. Everything's better in this situation. But the current direction, the 130 is not better. It's not cheaper. It's not going anywhere. It's not so positive, I guess. And it's not the direction I like to see things go. So I don't know. We'll see what you guys think. Let me know. As if you didn't let everybody in MultiGP know already. But I don't think it's too late to change 2017. I think we could fix it. I think we can make something great out of it. No matter what happens, if the rules change, you're changing your setup. You're buying quads. Changing the flight time is not any different than changing to 6S. It has exactly the same effect, you know. So unless you're going to keep the rules exactly the same, which all of us want to do something new. So let's move it forward. Let's make it better. Let's figure out how to do it. Anyways, reverse your props and try to have some fun.